All right, welcome all for 2026, New Year ramping up to 2025 with a lot of lovely podcasts. And here we are on 2026 with Ajitesh Abhishek, the co founder and CEO of Tough Tongue AI, a multimodal AI platform that helps professionals and teams practice difficult conversations from job interviews to sales pitches and coaching using realistic agentic AI workflows. Welcome, Ajitesh. I'm super excited to have this conversation with you because I know a lot of the folks do want to practice their interviews or try their best to do some presentations. So, this is a super interesting product that we would be interested to listen. So, Ajitesh is a former Google product manager working on Gemini at Google Cloud and holds a degree from IIT Delhi and Kellogg School of Management. He transitioned from big tech to entrepreneurship to build AI products focused on real world workflows rather than just demos or chatbots. So, Ajitesh, welcome again. And could you give our audience a little background about yourself and about your company, what you all do?
Thank you so much, Malati. Thank you so much for having me. So I'm Ajitesh, as mentioned, CEO and co-founder of Tufting AI. I was born and raised in New Delhi, India, and did my undergrad at IIT, and came to US in 2018 for my master's. And last 4 years, I was in Google Cloud. And when the ChatGPT moment came, so a special team was formed on the application side, how to apply Gemini in different verticals. So I was part of the team that was applying Gemini in Google Cloud. I was part of the team that launched the first infrastructure product in Gemini. So how do you make sense of all the data that is there in the cloud storage and give the customers a way to query through, ask questions in natural language? That gave me a glimpse into what's happening. And I started doing things on the side, exploring. And that led to first, the name we got registered is as Archie AI inclusion. That was cloud architecture was my initial idea that I was exploring, but now it has landed into voice AI agent that helps in difficult conversation or conversations which requires you to practice, rehearse before it happens. And we have tried different GTM wedges over the year, like in last 1 year, and currently are focused on mostly frontline staff training, whether like retail sales or teachers in the case of K-12. Is the area where we're seeing traction. I've been doing this for 1 year now, and one of the things where we this you might find it interesting is there are a lot of agents which do voice conversation, but this agent can also hold your attention in terms of creating slides, images. So we pay a lot of attention on how to capture your attention, because if we capture your attention, likely your learning will improve. Otherwise, you are just watching a video like you used to for YouTube and other.
Yeah, fantastic. Conversational AI is very interesting, especially the more it gets to know you and adds more value to the conversation. That is simply amazing. So, how did your technical and business education, like IIT and Kellogg's, influence how you approach building and launching AI products?
Right. Yeah, IIT was more of a like scrappy way of doing things, and you build things and then you see where it happens. And in some ways, I'm still trying to make sense of how to use the business education in some ways. It was very much helpful in Google Cloud, where you have different stakeholders. There is a GTM motion which is aligned. You need to figure out, okay, I need to just align with this team and my GTM will work. While in the startup case, I try to go back to some of the things that I learned in Kellogg, for example, like 4P. Whenever I'm thinking about new feature, at least I should think about pricing, product, what is the channel.
Right.
And it's a very simple framework, but should make sense. Similarly, like whenever I'm meeting a customer, how do I qualify? So some of these techniques we learned about user interviews, that, okay, someone you are meeting should have authority, they should have a budget, there should be a need. Initially, I was just ignoring all of these and just building. Then I realized, okay, I have done these business education thing. It's better to use it on the GTM side. So I think those aspect has been really helpful. And there are some cases where it sort of challenges each other. For example, finding the right product market fit, right? There could be two ways. One is that you keep building and ground up, find the
Yes.
customer. And one is sort of business way that we got taught in the business school, that find a segment top down, and this should be $1 billion segment, and then go from there. Somewhere I think it should match in between from both ways. So I'm trying to make sense of these, but slowly now I'm using more business skills. Last 1 year has been hands-on coding and just trying to throw a lot of things and see what sticks in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, practical education is always very helpful, the foundational, especially coming from engineering background and also understanding the business. And especially these schools do a fantastic job of presenting the foundational levels very well and then setting you up for real successes, actually. But of course, when the rubber hits the road, it's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
So I understand, balancing engineering and business product features is a completely different experience as such. So as a CEO, where are you focusing your time right now? Is it product development, customer growth, or building the team?
Yeah, so lately, like from last 2, 3 months, it has been 70, 80% of the time with customer and GTM side. I do enjoy like building. So we like Saturday or some day I give because that was the that is the reason I came from big tech. That okay, we'll get some hands-on time building as well. So I want to continue doing that. But the need of hour for me because both of my co-founders are technical, the whole team is. So I get the burden of like speaking to customer, making sure that we are building we earn the right of continue building. That means like earning revenue, making sure that people are happy with what we are building. So there is a lot of part of GTM at this point, and some part of building, taking this GTM into the product meetings. That okay, let's prioritize this in the immediate basis, even if we know that this is a shiny thing that in long term could make sense. So those sort of prioritization, I spend my time now. Early on, it was more on just like building and 20% customer, I think.
Got you. And, one of the things, Ajitesh, is the demos, right? How do you like make sure that the AI demos are more practical in real use? Like, what are the biggest challenges you faced early with Tough Tongue? How do you balance building high capable AI agents with keeping performance and cost management manageable for your users, actually?
Right, yeah. And we sort of wanted to have a self-serve motion, and that created another challenge. Right? If you offer a lot of things for free, there is could be abuse. So on the cost side, we have taken multiple measures on how to have like lower size model, sort of controls that abuse vector is limited. But yeah, it's still possible. Demos have been tricky, right? And I think I was in Google at the time when the Gemini or the Bard demo came and we screwed up and there was a like $100 billion market cap reduced, right? And
Yeah,
so I always have that in back of my head that okay, I'm going into demo. In a startup, the stakes are very low
agree.
in that sense, but we also get one shot at impressing someone, right? Otherwise that customer might not turn up in the meeting next week and you can't sell. So initially I used to also run through a lot of features in my demo. So one of the thing I have become better is asking good discovery question, and it was very uncomfortable for me because I have not done sales, and when someone came to me, I just want to give an answer or show what I built, right? So becoming sort of structured in asking discovery question, understanding. And then right now, what has working for me is a reverse demo, which is more risky, but I turn the thing to customer and say that, okay, I have done the research and this is the prompt that you could apply and you could see that in just 10 minutes, we can help you build a prototype or something that you need. And once you give us 2, 3 weeks, we can take it to the next last 20%, which is the most critical part. So right now, I have been seeing good results with the reverse demo. There also, I do control a lot, right? Like I know that some model in some situation will not work. So even if customer is doing reverse demo, I will guide them that, okay, use this, use that. And I have gone through that same flow like 50 times before. So there is still a chance that it could not do that thing in that meeting, but the probability should be likely less unless there is a disruption or something.
Yeah. No, no, that makes sense actually. And there is no one hard rule, which kind of
Yeah,
demos works. Sometimes to cover the length, breadth, and depth, it can be very tricky. So that on
right.
that aspect, like you build features like multimodal feedback, right? Video, voice, screen. What trade-offs did you encounter in prioritizing these capabilities?
Right. So one of the things that when I started building my previous version of this, which was I was doing a side project on code review, and I felt that I was optimizing too much on cost. And in LLM case, any LLM application, because we see right from the first line of code we write, right, we see $1 per million tokens. So because that is the metric that jumps to us, we at least for me, I started optimizing on the cost, which is the mistake that I'm not doing this time, like throwing a lot of like multimodal and more LLM calls to see that I'm solving the right business problem. So that is one of the change. in my mindset of doing the trade-off. Like earlier, I was a lot more on controlling costs so that it can reach to as many people as possible. While now I'm more focused that it delivers value, even if cost is
Yeah.
high, we could someday bring it down with LLM cost likely to go down. The second aspect has been that monetization might come later, but like there should be visible customer progress. So in our case, if frontline team is using us, like some revenue or other things has to go up in some ways. So customer value, I'm measuring more in terms of like some outcome that we could drive. And that gives me that, okay, what sort of trade-off we could make. For example, anytime we use video feedback, which a lot of people are not doing, sometimes customers need it, right? So we are working with one company who needs to monitor that the professional background is there for their employee when they are doing customer communication,
Mhm.
so on the Google Meet and Zoom calls. Now we are doing this optimization that we pick few frames instead of the whole video, because if someone has a background in few frames, likely they will continue through the whole meeting. So some optimizations like that we do make, but we are not shying away from not doing multimodal or just similarly, our agent can spin up images and other for wow purpose, and people get really excited when does more thing than just chatting.
Yeah, yeah.
So this currently costs us, but we have put it there to see that if it's sticking, and then we'll figure out the pricing or add-ons sort of later
Yeah,
on.
yeah. I've seen that in some of these Zoom meetings, and if there is something exciting, a person says, there's something which comes up like a emoji, like
Yeah,
a celebration thing. So it is definitely a very interactive and impressive customer
yeah,
experience, actually. So. Yeah, that's
yeah.
wonderful to know that, Ajitesh. And on a different aspect, like what's a concrete decision you made in the product roadmap that was tough, but ultimately it was the right one?
Yeah, we are very early sort of improving. But one decision that we chose to stick around with is we took a bet on the real-time models versus transcription. So there is two way to build voice. One is use the real-time models and then optimize the tokens. So likely you break the agents into multiple flows so that each time you are taking limited tokens. And there was a second architecture of taking my voice, putting it in transcript and then speech out. But there is a lot of information loss in that case, right? Whether I'm shouting or speaking with in a monotone, all of
Yeah.
that in the transcript is same. So we took a bit that, okay, this is higher cost, but we will figure out the optimization later. And that has given us some bit of businesses where this audio modulation analysis is useful, and agent is more receptive and interactive in certain situations, and we want to live with it. We in some cases provide the choice that you can speak to the use the other way of voice framework, but default choice is the real time. So that has been one bet. It's still not proven right, but we have been sticking through and trying to optimize it. The second case has been to not go back to building hiring human and creating a video and those things. So because we want the agent to be almost like a junior coach, and one of the feedback we used to receive is that why can't you put a YouTube video or a human and then put the agent, right? That mixes the whole thing. But that in some ways a shortcut for now, because then we will not solve the real aspect. So we have taken the call that okay, we'll try to slowly focus on the problem that we could solve, but still have like agent do that. So agent has been given a whiteboard to write things or draw things to behave like a human coach would, and not taking that shortcut. Let's see how that works out.
Nice, very nice, actually. We would love for our audience to have a demo, like using different personas. Maybe if I'm a student, right? I'm
Yeah.
working on a trigonometry problem. How would I use the assistant to help me break it further down? As you said, there is also for the salespeople in the retail space. So they're happy to include any of the demos that would help the audience understand and subscribe to your product to try it out.
Right. Yeah, I will share that across.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ajitesh. I will definitely include that as part of this live video. And you publicly built in the early days, right? First version in 2 days, I'm assuming, right? Then iterated based on use. What did that teach you about kind of product discovery? I know we touched about this a little bit earlier, but is there some one takeaway that really took you out in iteratingly building the product through discovery?
Right. So one of the challenge was the personal motivation aspect, right? That when you start building for a period of time, you don't get a real customer feedback till like enterprise or someone. So you need to find at least some validation from a group of segment who can design, or some choices could help you. And building in public opens some doors for you that even if they are not the buyer, they could relate with some experience and they could relate with your journey, perhaps, and can give you helpful advice. So as soon as I launched, someone commented, okay, this is pretty great, but you could change this particular way. Now I don't have
Okay.
to right away act on it, but that makes some goes in my backlog, right?
Yeah.
And then someone says, okay, black is not the color that I like. Then even if I did still continue to have the dark theme, it's very intentional now that I know that, okay, I'm speaking to certain segment of user. So a lot of these feedback comes very early to in building in public that I really liked versus when I was in Google, where just before till the launch day, only two, three people knows about the product, right? So all the
Mhm.
design choices are just between the team. But Google, at least you have a large team to work with. But in a
Right.
startup, you are like two, three people.
Right.
So maybe you are just thinking things in your head and building in public value gives some sort of validation. Plus, a lot of people relate to the story and offer to connect and network. They
Yeah.
will say that, okay, I can put you in touch with someone. So that aspect I also really liked. And as I was contributing, I also started helping other people. So I remember like a lot of people started with me at that time and they were launching on Product Hunt and other places. So you support each other launches. So that also is a good community and
Oh,
that
nice.
builds up over time.
Yeah. 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 So, Product Hunt you spoke about as one of the platforms where you can launch and get some feedback. Are there any other platforms where it'll help the starters like startup companies or builders launch their ideas and see how it'll take off?
Yeah. So on Twitter, there is a thread, there is a group on Build in Public. So
Okay.
that is pretty great. Like you get some advice there. Uh, on the product end, there is a launch, plus there is also threads. They have a forum. So more constantly, you could engage in the forums there. The third is like maintaining your Discord channel and all pretty early on could also help so that your community is engaged. I also liked, there is a company in SF, I forgot the name. Maybe I'll include that. So there we launched so alpha or beta something. So
Okay.
there we also got good set of feedback from people engaging and reaching out. So that is helpful. And of course, in SF, like all these hackathons, you can go and just directly speak
Of
to people,
course. Yes.
right? Even if you are not building, even if you, let's say, go to YCI hackathon and your product is very different, build
Yeah.
something and just talk about your product. You'll get some ideas and
Yeah.
you will build a network. So that is
Yes.
also
Yes.
pretty.
Absolutely. Absolutely. YC is definitely a good place to tap into. So many people fear overhyped AI promises, right? How do you avoid hype and focus on grounded deliverables?
Yeah, this goes in like customer meetings also. Like whenever we go into the meeting, customer also like talks about feature that generally is 2 years down the line, right? Like even if I talk about a good tutor or a coach, like personality, likely will take 3 years from my estimate to be human capable in a lot of essence. So finding like MVP that currently meets the most painful aspect of your problem is becomes a really important part. So a lot of our projects that we do with customers is like figuring out what is the most problematical part
Like,
plus
mm,
something that we can solve now.
mhm.
And initially we struggled with this case that you promise something, right? And it will likely happen 2 years down the line. Then maybe in 20% of the cases, only it's working, 80% it's hallucinating. So that
Right.
is not the right point. So yeah, one way that we have avoided this lately is to take this call that, okay, ask good discovery question, find out the most difficult problem, which you can solve at a good accuracy right now and focus on that while still not saying no to these wish list, right? Because they do want to bet on vendor who have long term path that okay, today you are not doing multimodal in some unique ways, but at least you will do 1 year from now, so that is okay for me to commit. But I know that currently its hallucination is such that you should not bet your company or business on that.
Right.
Expectation setting, I think, has become critical
Mhm.
in AI. And this is happening a lot with deployment engineering. I think this has become better because people are going and hands-on implementing it versus selling a product with some promises. For a startup, it becomes that you are a deployment engineer plus a product
Right.
builder. Then you have to draw more line that okay, service you have to involve someone or something like that.
Yeah. So you think every professional will eventually use AI agents for practice and coaching even beyond interviews?
Yeah, so there is some aspect of training. We focus currently on difficult conversation. That happens when there is more pain. But an aspect of having a agent that you used to learn something will be there. right? For example, as a product manager, likely you will try to learn how to be better in a cross team situation, how to communicate better to your leadership. Similarly, there is no end to it in some ways, right? Like even CEOs still today take like 101 lessons how to do manage their
Absolutely.
team better.
Yeah. I think we can't avoid the human element in this, definitely refining as we see the AI agents being more trained in these aspects will definitely help the end user a lot more. That front, right, Ajitesh, how do you see these AI agents changing how we build or assess soft skills like negotiations, communication, or leadership?
Yeah, and I think there perhaps it has become better from our interaction because what used to happen is earlier the only way to measure was an outcome, like someone like he's a really good like someone is a really good salesperson, but likely you will just judge on the end of the year or like deal size or something. If you are a good teacher or not, that also likely will come at the end of the year based on the class percentage or something. But now, because the agent can be in the meetings, it can be at different places, it can give rating that, okay, this teacher is really great in capturing attention, but not driving, teaching the lesson. This particular salesperson is really good in opening, but on the objection handling, these are the weak points. So, as a leadership, whenever I speak to any leaders, they see a new form of training to be much more transparent in giving metrics versus earlier, someone would come and just do a 1 hour workshop. You don't know who is engaging, who is not, what improvement that you made before and after. So I think that way, it's not a best measure. Like, I don't know that the agent is doing a really good job versus like someone who is a professor of product management, for example, or a really expert in training do a good job. But at least now you have a metrics that with time will
Right.
improve. That was not there at all
And this,
before.
this is your personal assistant, right? Sometimes
Yeah,
you may have to wait until you get together with the professor, but this is like
yeah.
real time metrics for you. Yeah. So if someone is listening and wants to build an AI driven product to improve real workflows, what's one thing they should focus on in the next probably 90 days?
Yeah, I think I'd say agent is what is the talk of the town, and everyone is betting on. And in the agent also, like the paradigm has set a lot. Like I think that you should read about cloud code
Mhm.
and its new things. Definitely like the new skill.md skills that they have introduced, which is that agent will have certain skills, but it does not have to be stuffed into system prompt. So let's say you
That's
define 10 kind of skills, and only agent knows that I have this particular skill. I can use it when I need it. And
okay.
that skill is not like a tool call. It can be a very 10 set of steps or workflow that you need to follow. So
Okay.
I think that is a very different concept that has come up in last like 6 months or so.
Okay.
MCP and all has, of course,
Right.
like the integration really easy. So I think start with your personal knowledge workflow and maybe automate some part of it. For example, for GTM, I am defining a lot of my workflow that before meeting someone, I just put it the email and my agent goes and takes the domain, does the research, figures out what the reverse demo I could focus on. If they are also gone to similar undergrad, college, or something that I should bring up. And finally, like what should be my follow up email and then follow up email. So this work, all of this you could automate without paying to an external tool some way at this point because everyone is learning. These tools are also evolving.
Right.
So maybe someday these tools will be automated. So yeah, pick a personal problem and likely solve with some agentic workflow where integration, browsing you are using. I think this has not been done till now. Like agent as started working more reliably in 2025 only. So I think production version of good agents, except for coding, which
Mhm.
was working pretty reliably. For all
Okay.
other workflow, I think likely 2026, we should see more.
Nice. So, if somebody is starting off as an engineer in their journey into this, what platforms or courses do you think, Ajitesh, will be very helpful for them to kind of build on it? You spoke about some of them, but is there anything in addition that they can pick up? I know a lot of platforms like Coursera, Andrew NG courses also help a lot. But have you come across any particular other platforms where they can pick up on these skills?
Yeah, so they OpenAI Academy also does a good job, and Anthropic blogs I'll definitely recommend, like their blog on context engineering and other. Um, their GTM person also keeps posting a lot of good content on Twitter and LinkedIn. So following them, I think, is the real world because they are seeing that what's happening. with their model. That I would say is the second. Third is I really like anytime following tutorial on YouTube, like just code with them,
Of
and
course.
people
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that is very hands-on and helpful. Andrew Ng, all of the courses like pretty helpful to get started.
Yeah, I do follow him quite a bit to stay up to date on some other
Yeah.
topics, and he's pretty good trying to simplify those topics as well. So, coming to the real use case, which is the crux of this interview, is can you share a specific example where tough tongues multimodal conversation practice changed someone's performance in real interviews, be it technical or behavioral?
Right. On the consumer, so right now our business has two part, like consumer, and we also work with the frontline staff. On the consumer side, we have seen traction on product management. So two of our user, one cracked Gemini and one user ended up cracking OpenAI PM interview. So what they did was they did a lot of practice of interviews to build their muscle memory. So they went through like 20, 30 AI interviews and they get feedback, and that builds like creative thinking and all on the fly that how we start using. So on the consumer side, I have seen those two as success. I see our STAR method coach getting used a lot, which is people want to structure their behavioral interviews in a STAR format. And we
Yeah.
have built a coach which tries to understand your, like you just ramble to the coach and it will put it in the start format
Oh,
and
wow.
engage with you. So that we have seen a lot of interaction and other. On the business side, we are working with some financial services customer on retail sales training. So for one particular customer, we saw a 30-day close rate jumped by 26% after deploying this agent as a practice tool. So what they did was they did UX research and figured out there are 10 persona in their customer, and for each persona, they created a AI replica. And now their onboarding team has to go through these 10 interviews and at least score 8 on each of those before going to the field. So this has given them this revenue boost. And also on the customer side, the sales rep are liking it. They get a feel of sales experience before that does. So that has been really helpful. Like that has been sort of clear outcome that we have driven. There are other research kind of projects that we are doing. So one US university that we are working with, where there was a budget cut in training teachers. And teachers, not many people think as a frontline staff, but they represent in front of parents in the parents teacher meeting. They handle
Right.
the classroom disruption,
Yes.
all of these, and the professional development of us asset of teacher is very limited. And budget wise, there is a lot of constraint. So they are using us to define AI role play
Mhm.
to train teachers, and that has seen good feedback. Outcome wise, we are still like early there.
Very nice. I mean, this is amazing. Actually, that reminded me of I'm a big follower of Alex Harmozy, and if you had seen, he has templates to do sales and these different things. I'm pretty sure they'll be benefited, and even your models will be benefited by what is an ideal sales looks like. So
Yeah,
it's something you may want to check that out and reach out. I just thought of it. When you were mentioning about sales
thank you.
reps and all that. Yeah. So what is one thing, as you were mentioning, right? AI driven sessions reveal something. Was there a moment about a human skill challenge that traditional prep tools couldn't catch?
Yeah, I think. Oh, you mean in the case of the product management interviews and all? What?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, yeah, human tool. Yeah, one of the thing is that humans paying attention to individual like for a long period of time is really difficult, right? It's really costly. Say the second is the attention bandwidth for us is also very limited. While AI can be really personalized and focused on just you, like if you do two sessions with the same coach, it will come that, okay, your point has increased, you have improved in this direction, and you get a whole report, all of that. So I think that aspect is very powerful. Like as soon as the challenge with the AI tutor or prep is the empathy aspect, like it can't motivate you that you can be product manager or you can be a good salesperson. That has to come from humans still.
Yes.
But once you are a motivated person, then you can just keep like doing reps after rep. You get personalized lesson, and you can continue with the same memory and agent to improve yourself. So there we have seen a lot of benefit, and that is the pattern we are trying to apply it other places also. Wherever there is a lot of this personalization, attention is required, this could do a good job versus like where empathy and motivation and those things are important.
Okay, got it. So, Abhijit, we are almost towards the end of the podcast, and one thing I wanted to ask you is if we have two different kinds of audiences, right? One is investors and the other is engineering community. So if you had to give any message to each of those, what would that be?
Yeah, so the engineering community. So we have a B2C platform underneath, like because we are from Google Cloud and developer background. So we have kept our APIs open. So a lot of our usage come from developers building something on top of us. So explore our iframe integrations, which is that
Okay.
you create an agent and with just few lines of code, you can integrate in your application. So there are a lot of tools out there which are SaaS application in a way that you don't get customization. We give a lot of those customization that you create your agents, control the form factor analysis you can get from APIs. So maybe something to explore. There has been unique things around people building PM coach, interview platform. There is a language learning. So all of these has been built on top of us where we don't control, like they just buy minutes from us and sell it to their end customer.
Oh,
Something
nice.
to check out.
Okay.
I think the investors, like one of the problem that we have been focused on is that how to build an agent which is really hungry for attention and catches your attention for a long time because learning is constrained on attention bandwidth. If a
Yes.
kid or a person is paying attention, likely they will improve over time. And you'll see that whole of the market currently there is not very engaging voice AI product, but if you try our platform, it's very different. So we are focusing on where this can be currently used, which is like sales and other places. But I think there is a lot of use cases once the agent becomes really good at capturing attention.
So that's your USP, basically, making
Yeah.
sure that the attention is there, especially with content. And having a 30-second attention span also is wonderful, actually. So, yeah, that's wonderful to
Yeah.
know that. The other question came up to me is, does your product support multilingual? If it does,
Yeah.
so does that work actually?
Right. Yeah. So we rely on Gemini for many of the use cases, and
Mhm.
even OpenAI does a good job. But yeah, most of our agents are really good because of reliance on Gemini that way. Even like it can mix two languages in the same speech. So like if
Oh,
you want
nice.
30% German, 70% English, like those things are also possible
Okay.
with the agent.
Okay. So your product is completely on Gemini, built on Gemini. Is that your infrastructure stack, pretty much?
We heavily rely on Gemini's power. We also provide, so OpenAI is still good in some of the function calling and other aspect, and some use cases it's good, but most of our dominant use cases comes from Gemini. It's really good in multimodal aspect, ingesting a lot of data, and multilingual aspect as well. So we are
Okay.
betting like that should continue improving, and that would give us much better training
Right,
agent.
right, 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 right. Wonderful. So we are here on a lightning round. We want to get to know you a little bit. So, what is one AI capability you personally rely on daily as a founder?
Uh, yeah, writing email is lately in GTM. And for that, I've been using Claude Code aggressively with the skill.md thing that I said. I'm a big fan of it.
Okay, nice to know. A product or a leadership metric you think matters more now than a year ago?
Yeah, I think now we have to move from the traction to real outcome, even if not its revenue. Like for us, it's like is the training time resulting in score improvement, for example, the user. So even if we know that outcome has not come, but at least move from just the engagement metric to some what related to business outcome. Everyone is asking that before buying, and even for long-term sustainability, that is important. So quantifying the business value of the tool if not in dollar, at least in some very close enough metric, I think is very important.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. So, what is one misconception people have about AI agents in workflow automation?
I mean, a lot of people have like a 6 month back experience because they tried AI agent and it did not work.
Hmm.
But it has moved a lot in last 6 to 8 months. So the same product, if you revisit, you'll find it a lot more better. Like coding, of course, was working, but now the level at it is working is insane. And similarly for a lot of other workflow. So I think we have to give another chance to some of the tools and concepts. It did not work the first time because of over marketing or something, but it's time to revisit those.
Okay. So, a book or a thinker that influenced your approach to building AI products?
I follow Guilherme Wurzel CEO a lot, and so he's really vocal on UX aspect of AI and how AI has also created a change in the user interface. For example, we are not used to streaming text. Now every place you go, there is a streaming text. The whole artifact model that you create something because you are chatting and chat goes away. So
Yeah.
the Claude came with the artifact. and that is a pattern that has again emerged. Similarly, there are a lot of new patterns that are coming. That multiple option that you could choose from. So I find his insights really helpful in building products.
What's the name you had mentioned?
Guilherme from Vercel.
Vercel. Okay, got you.
Yeah, Vercel
And
CEO.
one internal capability every AI startup should invest in before scaling.
I think measuring the outcome of it so that you can do RL or improve later. So having, even if you're not building the model or fine tuning it, but at least
Yeah.
storing the data that you could do future or manually just review is really important. Otherwise, you're flying in the dark. And most of the success story you see, whether it's Lovable, all of them did a really good job of getting the feedback and analyzing and looping it back into the agent. So I think that aspect, we are sort of betting on this aspect of self healing also. Like once you have the data and you know it's good or bad, you could also move it back to the agent and heal it, right? Improve it over time. So I think that is an important concept to keep me.
Wow, wonderful. So, Ajitesh, this is such an insightful conversation. I mean, it is right. You're building an AI product that solves practical user problems and not just chasing the latest model release. So, for listeners who want to learn more, where can they reach you? And I know it is toughtongue.ai.com, but if they want to connect with you, where would be a best place to go and learn more about your work and about AI agent workflows?
Right. I do write a lot on Zupler.com, xupler.com, which is my personal blog for a
Oh,
long time.
nice.
And feel free to DM me on LinkedIn as well. I am generally active there.
Okay, wonderful, Ajitesh. Thank you so much. I would love to give you really big kudos for
Thank
working with a company and eventually following your passion of building products and bringing a blend of both business and engineering, and sharing with our audience and motivating them to kind of build more products which for real world problems. So thank you for that, Ajitesh. And wish you again a very happy new year. And we will be in touch.
thank you so much. Happy New Year.